Hi, I am Rose, and you're watching The Sovereign Soul. I support people to reconnect to their eternal and authentic selves and reclaim soul freedom. Before I start this video, I do want to make a side note that everything that I'm speaking about is all done by design, by the systems of Earth and in the spiritual realm. And this is a huge topic for me because it is exactly what keeps people enslaved on and to Earth as energetic food for a parasitic system run by parasitic beings, because Earth as a whole, the whole planet and the energy around it, is hijacked, not just the individual beings on it. So today I want to talk about the nervous system, our emotions, and our soul. More specifically, the relationship to your negative emotions as a way to reconnect to the soul. So, by changing your relationship to your negative emotions, it allows you to reconnect to your soul. So, the nervous system is the thing that creates your core vibration. If you've ever listened to anything on manifestation, they always talk about raising your frequency. But your frequency is set in every single one of your cells through the nervous system. It's the thing that creates your core vibration and then that magnetic field that attracts your reality to you. And this vibration comes from every single cell in your body. So if an average grown-up has 70 trillion cells, this magnetic field and frequency is oscillating, vibrating, times 70 trillion. And then on top of that, it's claimed that we have about 100 trillion atoms per cell, which means that is vibrating by 100 trillion times 70 trillion. And I do know that string theory is not proven, as each atom has its own core frequency and vibration. But I think science is pointing more and more to the fact that this is the case. So your core vibration has everything to do with your inner landscape and specifically your emotional state, and more specifically your relationship to your negative emotions and your soul, because this actually dictates your entire reality, how you function in the world, how you see the world. Everything is about your inner landscape and your emotional well-being. And essentially, if you want to change your life, and if you do want to experience higher dimensions of consciousness, you have to learn how to rewire your nervous system and reconnect to your soul, to bring the soul back online. Because the nervous system is what disconnects you from living from your soul. And it does this through cellular memory. Many of these topics I will get into in other videos, but for now I just want to do the basics on nervous system, emotions, and the soul. So it's important to understand that you are a multi-dimensional being. You have the capacity to experience higher levels of consciousness, and your soul holds the blueprint of this, the eternal you. It's just sleeping. So the more connected we are to the nervous system and its responses, the less connected we are to the soul, and letting the eternal part of our being, the divine part of our being, rule our reality. And it's also what keeps us enslaved. It keeps the earth functioning in that parasitic system that I mentioned in the first slide. So when I say the soul is sleeping, other terms that are used for that is basically dormant consciousness, the forgotten part of yourself, spiritual amnesia. So in other words, not remembering past experiences that the soul has had, but also not remembering who you are in your totality from a consciousness perspective, not just from a life experience. It can also be termed as unconscious, enslaved, trapped, or hijacked. And basically this whole sleeping, dormant, hijack process happens through the nervous system. Yes. So being in a human body, when we are running fully and completely from the nervous system, is all about separation and disconnection from our divinity, from your divinity, and from your eternal self. And this is all done through identity and being defined by this identity. And this is done through beliefs, morals, values, principles, and archetypes, essentially. So those can be all of these different systems that run on Earth: family, culture, race, class, your religion, or other people's religions and what you think about them, spiritual beliefs, your education system, the entirety of that, our government, our political systems, the entire medical system, legal systems, our sexuality, our gender. I'm sure there are many other things that define human beings and what we identify with as thinking that that is who and what we are. And we will have an emotional response to every single one of those beliefs, morals, values, principles, and then the archetype. Again, I will get into these topics on a deeper level in different videos. So we essentially, human beings, the human race, we think that our beliefs make us who we are and that they connect us to each other. And all people want, essentially, at their core, is to feel connection and to fit in. It's why people follow the crowd. It's why they follow the norms, and it's why they follow what they're taught in those systems. So parents teach their children, and of course those parents were taught by their parents, and so it goes. And then we just keep fitting into a really dysfunctional system. Without this identity, people don't really know how to function, and essentially they don't know who they are without those beliefs and how they view the world and how they respond to that world, because like I said, it makes them feel that they connect to each other. But the irony is it actually disconnects us, because we get disconnected through every single one of those systems that are different. As soon as something's different, there's threat for people. And now this entire identity is set through our nervous system, and it is controlled through your emotions. And all of this happens before you are even able to talk and think. Sorry for the typo. Now, this is the amazing part of it. And again, it's a topic I'll get into more detail at a later stage, that when we're actually able to live from the soul, we're not able to talk and think and communicate with the world around us. We're small and we're vulnerable. And then, like I say, we just replicate what we are shown in order to then survive and fit in. And this all happens as children. Now, what are your emotions? So the nervous system is that thing that creates the reality. So what are the emotions in the nervous system that these two combined create this absolute recipe for disconnect and to keep that vibration of fear and anxiety and stress much stronger than the language of the soul, which is love, ultimately, your eternal being. So emotions are these uncontrollable reactions that happen within your body, and they cause physical sensations. And they are linked to the nervous system, and they're linked to the soul. Many things can cause emotions: people and relationships, certain circumstances, beliefs, sensory experience, like the things you see, touch, taste, smell. Your thoughts, just having a thought can create an emotion. Seeing something you love, like being in nature, can create an emotional response, or not being in nature. And then, of course, your needs: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, as well as your health on all of those levels. And also dreams, which is a very fascinating concept to me. But yes, dreams also create emotional responses. So like I said, they are uncontrollable, caused by stimuli. So essentially they happen without your consent, because it happens when you dream. It's not like you're consciously choosing to feel the thing you feel. They just kind of happen, and then we react or respond to that. These are physical sensations caused by chemicals and hormones and neurotransmitters within your body. So it's a physical thing that actually happens. We feel that an emotion is a intangible, but interestingly, it's a physical as well. And they rule the entire quality of a human experience, which is also quite a thing. So basically, we go to a bit of a place of war inside ourselves, all through emotions. And this is all done unconsciously on autopilot. And some of it is conscious, like we can honestly know any resistance we have to certain emotions. But I believe that fear is actually the base of both good and bad emotions, because we fear losing a good emotion, or we fear that the ball's going to drop if we have a good emotion, or that it's going to go away, or that we're not going to have it. So it's quite interesting. And then, of course, we fear all of these bad emotions. So feeling different from someone else creates an emotional response. Uncertainty and not being in control creates an emotional response. Depression, of course, which is one we can pin down, but actually there's so many underlying emotions to that. Being wrong. People don't like that feeling. Feeling confused. Again, lots of emotions pinned underneath that. Doubt, loneliness. We all think these are bad. We want to resist, run away. And then we got this judgment of what is a good emotion. Feeling the same as everybody else, having a knowing of an outcome, feeling connection to others, acceptance, being right to people like that, and freedom. Those would be judged as good ones, but like I say, we tend to sit on a fence with fear for both, which is a very interesting, again, phenomenon within the human psyche and the nervous system. So this inner war that we have is a resistance to what you feel because of all the judgments, which are actually only beliefs. And this is why it's good to be able to be flexible in beliefs from my experience and understanding, because those judgments are really just about those negative emotions. So when you feel like, no, this is not good, I don't want it, you want to deny, run away, blame, numb out, maybe you just swallow those emotions. You might lie to yourself or others about them. You might hide from them. You might avoid them, switch them off, just go kind of like blank. Judge them, criticize them, pep talk, which is quite often people try and pep talk their way out of what they're feeling. And basically constantly looking for a solution or an escape to what those feelings are and then what you're judging as bad. It's almost like they mean you're broken, and that these emotions are constantly showing you that you are a problem to be fixed, or that these emotions are a problem to be fixed. And this does create an inner war on the inner landscape of you living inside your body and how you think and then feel. So that judge towards that negative emotion triggers your nervous system into action, and it starts scanning your environment, your world, as well as your internal world. So what's going on with you as potential threat, and then it automatically just deals with it in the way that it's programmed, or that it's been programmed to protect you. And like I said, that nervous system's programmed before you can even think and talk. It's just something that has happened as a defense mechanism for you to just live and survive in this world. And it's all running on autopilot. So when we are running in that perpetual autopilot, patterns loop, and the nervous system basically is just handling it because it's always done it since you were a child. You didn't have to think. Those defense mechanisms just came into place, and it perceives negative emotion as a threat because of that judgment. And then you will go into full-on defense mode and protect mode, which is a fight, flight, freeze, and reliving of core wounds in how you deal with these emotional responses within you, and you don't even know that you're doing it. So you'll either externalize these reactions, so again you start blaming others, or you want to like vent your emotions to others or blame others, whatever the story is, or you internalize it to yourself, where you blame yourself, you treat yourself as if you're a failure, or whatever the judgment does to you on that. And mostly we actually end up doing both. And how do we change this? So this is changed through cultivating emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to be with and navigate your own emotions, and be with and navigate other people's emotions, not to feel uncomfortable with other people having emotions, nor yourself. So basically, this happens by making the unconscious conscious. So I keep talking about the nervous system being on an autopilot. So in order to get it off the autopilot, you got to break the pattern by seeing it. And then we connect to the emotion as with choice. So we observe it, we see it, and we understand that this is an emotion which is driving these responses within you and keeping you in a loop. And then you then reclaim your ability to choose your response to the emotion. Remember, the emotion is happening without your consent and control, basically. But your power steps back, and also emotional control steps back with that conscious awareness and then with conscious choice. But in the beginning, of course, it doesn't feel like that. You are not your emotions, you are the awareness behind them. And that's where that free will and free choice comes back into the picture. Your conscious relationship to your emotions is the secret to your inner peace. When I say conscious, it means through free will and choice, you know how you're going to respond to that emotion. You understand the emotion, you see the emotion, you choose, oh, this is going on inside me, this is how I want to respond, behave, relate to that thing. And that's what emotional freedom is. It's being able to choose how you respond and relate to yourself and your inner landscape because you're aware of it. And in a sense, that awareness behind your emotions is actually space. It's the ability to step out of it, that you realize that's not your reality unless you make it your reality by not wanting different responses. And again, it all comes through identity and relating and defining. But emotions and what they really are actual signals from your soul, not a threat. When you're looking at them from a threat, you're never going to be able to reconnect and live from your soul. And the honest truth is the soul just sees all emotion as an experience that needs to be seen and acknowledged. If you feel burdened, the soul feels burdened. If the soul feels burdened, you feel burdened. And to unburden your soul and yourself, you do this through lovingly acknowledging the emotion that the soul is signaling. So again, this comes through awareness, and it's a practice. It certainly is not something that just happens in one moment. It's a constant relating to yourself and emotions, because we do have emotions constantly on a sliding scale. Again, it's the way the system is set up. Our emotional state is not a state of being, or our emotions are not a state of being as they are in higher consciousness. They are a constant up and down, and this is what eats our energy, what takes our energy, and what keeps us creating consistent energy, food, energetic food. And in the ability to lovingly acknowledge these emotions, it starts to rewire the nervous system, and then it starts to bring your soul back online, and you have the potential to experience much higher emotions, which is amazing. So in a nutshell, the whole message of this video is bringing together that combination to understand the link between the nervous system and the soul and the emotions. And by lovingly seeing and acknowledging your negative emotions with grace and compassion and understanding and kindness, you create a bridge between your nervous system and your soul. And then you do start bringing a higher consciousness back online. Okay, so in future videos, I will also be talking about how this system came to be, this hijacking of our consciousness and energy, and how to get out of it and how to reclaim your personal sovereignty. I'm sure there are going to be multiple videos. I'll try and keep them as short as possible, but I know that that's not always possible. It's pretty fucking deep topics. And then also just to remind you, if you've watched any of my stuff before, that there is a link to a free resource library in the description. It's like a decade of my findings and work so far. which is 100% free. You just got to, I think, put in a 0 when they ask how much you pay and add your email address, and you will have access to that. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say for now. Oh, it does help me if you have even got to the end of this video, which I'm not so sure it's so long. But if you have, it really helps the information because of how YouTube thingies work. Although I do kind of trust that things just work out as they do, but at the same time, maybe you feel inclined to give me a like or actually subscribe if any of the topics are going to be interesting to you in the future. At the moment, I'm still a bit inconsistent with posting, but I really do I do enjoy making this content. Okay, so that's it. I will see you in the next one.